Happy birthday, Taurus. It's finally your month, the one you've been waiting for. And it's not just any May. It's your personal new year, your solar return, and a turning point that brings a fresh surge of energy, clarity, and emotional reset. After everything you've worked through this year, May feels like standing on a mountaintop. The sky's clearer. The future feels closer. And for the first time in a while, you're not just hoping things will get better. You're ready to make them better. The universe is handing you the pen and saying, write the next chapter and write it with joy. This month is about stepping into your light unapologetically. You're the main character now. There's no hiding, no shrinking, and no compromising on the things that make your heart beat faster. Whether you're celebrating a milestone birthday or just feeling the deep seasonal shift of Taurus energy, you're entering a time when the universe is singing your name. Expect surprises, revelations, and moments of deep truth, but also expect gifts, emotional, spiritual, and yes, even material. You've earned every single one. If April had you feeling distant, distracted, or simply spread too thin emotionally, then May arrives like a warm embrace. And honestly, you deserve it. The emotional tone this month is gentler, more forgiving, and far more tuned in to what your heart actually needs. Not just in romance, but in all your close connections, friendships, family bonds, and the deep relationships you have with people who see the real you. With Venus, your ruling planet, active in your first house, you're glowing in ways that don't require effort. You're not chasing validation. You're radiating something magnetic simply by being grounded in your truth. And others feel it. You might notice strangers smiling at you more, old friends reaching out of the blue, or partners suddenly leaning in closer after weeks or months of emotional distance. This month, May 7th, stands out as a moment of emotional clarity. Whether it's an honest conversation, a long overdue apology, or a simple but powerful realization about your own patterns, something shifts. You begin to see your connections through a new lens, not one filtered by old wounds, but one informed by your healing. For those in committed relationships, this is a month to rebuild intimacy not through dramatic gestures, but through the small, sacred moments: eye contact, undistracted listening, laughter over dinner, or silent understanding during a walk. If there's been tension, this is the time to soften. Not because you're brushing issues aside, but because you're ready to work through them with presence and grace. And for single Taurians, oh, the universe is feeling flirty. But not in a chaotic way. In fact, it's almost the opposite. There's a grounded magnetism about you that attracts people who want real connection, not just excitement. Don't be surprised if someone new enters your orbit with a calm presence that feels more like coming home than a first encounter. That said, Mercury's ongoing movement in the background may stir up memories of a past lover. Someone may reappear, physically or energetically, and trigger questions you thought you had answers to. It's okay. You're not backsliding. You're just witnessing, maybe for the first time, how much you've grown. This month isn't about rushing into or out of love. It's about learning how to stay present with the truth of your heart, even if that truth surprises you. Maybe it's a desire you've been quiet about. Maybe it's a need you've been denying. Maybe it's the realization that what you thought you wanted, you no longer do. The beauty of May is that your emotions aren't just felt. They're heard. Not just by others, but by yourself. You don't have to perform, over-explain, or shrink down to be palatable. You're allowed to want the deep, rich, slow-burning kind of love. And this month, the universe is far more likely to meet you there than ever before. Let the quiet moments lead the way. Let touch, tone, timing say what words can't. Let the old defenses fall, because this new version of you, they don't need armor anymore. There's something about this month that makes you crave not just rest, but true vitality, not the kind you chase with caffeine or grit, but the kind that arises from being in rhythm with yourself. In May, your body becomes the compass, and every ache, every craving, every shift in energy, it's pointing you towards something that's asking to be addressed, adjusted, or finally honored. This isn't about suddenly turning into a green juice fanatic or training for a marathon, unless that's genuinely calling to you. This is about rethinking what health even means for you now. Because here's the truth. Your lifestyle has evolved, but your wellness routines might not have caught up. Maybe you've outgrown a workout you once loved. Maybe your sleep cycle is no longer syncing with your work rhythm. Maybe your diet, once balanced, has been a bit off track. Not out of laziness, but out of habit. May shows you where you've been coasting and offers the gentle, grounded push to rebuild your foundation. You might feel it in your joints first, or your digestion, or a kind of mental fog that creeps in by mid-afternoon. Whatever it is, it's not failure, it's feedback. And if you listen now, you won't just patch the problem. You'll create a new template for long-term vitality. Around May 11th, an energetic shift encourages you to experiment. Try swapping one habit, not 5. Maybe it's adding a 10-minute morning stretch, or swapping one processed meal for something home-cooked, or walking at sunset instead of scrolling in bed. Small doesn't mean insignificant. In your case, small is sacred. This is also a big month for your nervous system. You're usually strong and steady, but you've been under more pressure than you let on. And that tension lives somewhere in your body. It might show up as neck stiffness, jaw clenching, gut sensitivity, or a low-level anxiety that has no obvious source. Don't push through it. Give it space. Give yourself permission to pause. Somatic practices like breath work, yin yoga, slow movement, even sound therapy could be life-changing this month. They slow you down enough to hear what your body's been trying to say. They remind you that healing isn't a checklist. It's a conversation. This month also encourages boundary setting as a wellness tool. Your calendar may be full, but how much of it is filled with obligation versus nourishment? Start paying attention to what drains you after you do it. Not just physically, but energetically. That Zoom call, that group chat, that favor you didn't want to do but said yes to anyway, they leave marks, and May helps you get honest about which ones are worth it. There may be an emotional component to your healing too. A moment in the mirror where you don't pick yourself apart. A meal where you actually taste your food. A walk that brings tears of relief, not stress. These aren't side effects, they're signals. You're re-inhabiting your body again, not as something to control, but as something to care for. You don't need a radical transformation. You need a loving recalibration. Something sustainable. Something that reminds your system it's safe now. That it's okay to exhale. That it's time to not just survive in your body, but to live in it. And the more you honor your physical rhythm, the more magnetic you become in everything else. If there's one thing May makes clear, it's this: you are not playing small anymore. Whether you consciously decided it or not, this month begins to shift how you show up in the world, not just in what you do, but in how you claim your authority, your ideas, and your time. With Jupiter still moving through your sign and the sun activating your first house for much of the month, there's a spotlight on your identity. But it's not just about personality, it's about positioning. You're not only being seen more, you're also being asked to step forward in ways that feel both exciting and a little scary. If you've been operating from the background, supporting others, doing great work without asking for credit or hesitating to charge what you're worth, this month pushes you forward. And not gently. Around May 20th, the cosmic energy sharpens. You'll be nudged to take the mic, sign the contract, lead the meeting, or finally launch the thing. The excuses won't feel valid anymore, and neither will the imposter syndrome. This doesn't mean every Taurus suddenly becomes a CEO or entrepreneur. For some, it's quieter, but just as powerful. It's speaking up in a work setting where you've been too agreeable. It's telling your team what's actually not working. It's emailing that mentor you've been quietly admiring for months. It's stopping the cycle of over-delivering and under-asking. You're learning that quiet power doesn't mean invisible. You can lead without controlling. You can shine without explaining. You can want more without guilt. Some of you might feel a restlessness building, especially if you've stayed in a job, role, or industry out of security rather than alignment. May doesn't necessarily demand a career leap, but it does ask for truth. Are you where you want to be? Are you creating what you actually believe in? Do you even want to climb the ladder you're on? Around May 23rd, a new project or opportunity could surface, one that feels tailor-made for your values, your talents, and your long-term vision. This could be as official as a job offer or as subtle as an idea that won't leave you alone. Pay attention, and if it scares you a little, that's probably a sign it's worth exploring. You're also in a season where your boundaries at work need to be more than conceptual. Are you replying to emails at midnight because you think no one else will do it right? Are you absorbing the emotional stress of a team that won't step up? Are you underestimating how much your burnout is costing your brilliance? This month, professionalism doesn't mean perfection. It means protecting your capacity so you can show up at full power. If you're self-employed or building something from scratch, May helps you streamline your systems and clarify your mission. What makes your offer different? Who are you really serving? And how can you make your work feel like a reflection of your evolution, not just a hustle to maintain? And let's not forget money. While we'll dig into that more in Chapter 4, it bears repeating here. Your rates, your salary, your revenue, they are mirrors of how fully you're owning your value. And this month, you're done negotiating with scarcity. You are allowed to ask for more. You are allowed to restructure. You are allowed to make bold, clean choices that reflect the leader you are, not the one you're trying to prove yourself to be. May's message is this: your ambition isn't too much. It's right on time, and it's about to pay off. Let's talk money, and not in the usual budgeting and bills kind of way. This month is about redefining your personal economy, Taurus. How you earn, how you save, how you invest, how you feel when you open your banking app. The energy is less about restriction and more about redirection toward true security. That's a big theme for you in May. Creating security that doesn't cost your freedom. It's a delicate balance, but one that you're more equipped than ever to strike. After all, you're a Taurus. Stability is your love language. But what you're learning now is that stability without alignment isn't safety. It's stagnation. This month kicks off with some enlightening moments around your earning potential. You may find yourself reassessing your current income stream, not because it's suddenly insufficient, but because you're recognizing the gap between what you're giving and what you're receiving. Whether you're salaried, freelance, or somewhere in between, the question becomes clear. Is this truly valuing my time, my skills, and my evolution? If the answer is no, don't panic, but don't dismiss it either. Around May 10th to 12th, something may surface, an idea, an offer, a subtle suggestion from someone you respect that helps reframe what you thought was possible. And from there, you begin to look at money less as a fixed number and more as an ecosystem you can actively shape. You may also be called to clean up financial loose ends. This could be reviewing subscriptions you forgot you had, consolidating debt, or even having a long-delayed financial conversation with a partner or advisor. If it's uncomfortable, that's a clue it's overdue. And the truth? Once it's done, you'll feel 10 pounds lighter. Not because your numbers changed overnight, but because you finally faced what you were tolerating. For many of you, this month also marks a shift in how you emotionally relate to money. Maybe you've always seen yourself as someone who plays it safe, or maybe your financial habits were shaped by past scarcity, no matter how much you earn now. May is your chance to rewrite that story. You're learning that resourcefulness is more than a skill, it's a mindset. And when you combine it with your natural patience and practicality, that's when you go from scraping by to thriving. There's a strong emphasis this month on investing in what will pay you back in energy, not just in dollars. Maybe it's upgrading your workspace so you actually want to sit in it. Maybe it's paying a coach to help you get unstuck. Maybe it's finally buying that software that'll cut your workload in half. This isn't reckless spending, it's strategic nourishment. If you're considering a large investment, property, business expansion, education, look to May 21st to 25th for green lights or meaningful clarity. Conversations that happen in that window could change the way you think about your future net worth. But no matter what your spreadsheet says, the real gold this month is the way you start honoring your value with action. Not just with affirmations or mood boards, but with practical, grounded steps that say, I take myself seriously. I build legacy, not just income. I trust that what I give will return. Taurus, you're not just earning this month, you're owning your time, your energy, your worth. And once that's your baseline, everything else starts compounding. If the external world is where you push, build, and expand, your home is where you're meant to land. And in May, that landing spot becomes a huge focus. Not just your physical space, but your emotional center, your relationship to family, your memories, your routines, your sense of safety. It all begins to shift, not because something's wrong, but because something's ready to feel better. Whether you've been avoiding that pile of mail, postponing that heart-to-heart with a relative, or simply ignoring the subtle tension in your home life, this is the month where clarity arrives. And thankfully, it doesn't demand drama, just presence. With stabilizing earth energy supporting your fourth house, you're being invited to build a home that reflects the person you're becoming, not the version of you who created it years ago. That might mean finally upgrading that couch that's been hurting your back, or decluttering your closet of clothes that no longer represent you. But often it's deeper. It's about atmosphere, energy, emotion. Ask yourself, do I walk into my home and exhale, or do I enter and brace? For some, the answer is clear. You've outgrown your space, not just in square footage, but in frequency. You're craving more light, more calm, more function. This doesn't necessarily mean a move, though for some of you that's on the table. It means reclaiming your authority over your environment. Maybe that's shifting the energy with music, scent, lighting. Maybe it's enforcing boundaries around noise, mess, or unwanted guests. Maybe it's finally asking for help in creating a home you enjoy, not just maintain. Around May 16th to 18th, you may have a conversation or insight that reframes your relationship to family. Something long held, an assumption, a guilt loop, a caretaking dynamic, starts to unravel. And you realize, I don't have to carry this anymore. Whether it's a sibling, a parent, or chosen family, May brings you closer to the version of those relationships that feels healthier, not heavier. This is especially potent for Taurus placements who felt emotionally parentified or burdened by others' expectations. You can love someone and still choose yourself. You can honor your past without repeating it. And most of all, you can create a home inside you that's peaceful, no matter who else is in the room. For those navigating transitions, moving out, moving in with someone, welcoming a child, or helping a parent, the energy is supportive but slow. Don't rush the logistics. Your intuition is your compass, and your body will tell you what spaces feel right even before your brain can explain it. A note about rituals this month. They matter more than usual. Whether it's lighting a candle at the same time every day, sitting in a certain chair to journal, or simply having a song that signals the end of your workday, These tiny anchors become massive emotional stabilizers. They tell your nervous system, you're home now, you're safe. May isn't about creating the perfect home. It's about creating one that feels like sanctuary, one that matches the peace you're building inside, one where you don't just collapse after a long day, but actually restore. And once your inner and outer space sync up, everything else flows faster. That's how deeply you're rooted, and that's why May gives you this gift. The final arc of May doesn't just bring clarity, it brings color. And that's exactly what your soul's been craving. After months of focus, responsibility, and holding it together for everyone else, the second half of this month calls in something you haven't felt in a while: true, unfiltered joy. Not performative, not fleeting, just real, rooted, yours. As the sun moves into Gemini on May 20th, your second house of values and self-worth remains activated, but the flavor changes. Suddenly, you're not just managing resources, you're managing energy, inspiration, aliveness. And for you, Taurus, that means remembering how to have fun again without needing a good reason. Let's start with creativity. You may feel pulled back into something you set down: art, music, writing, gardening, cooking, or a long-neglected idea that once lit a spark. It's not about turning this into a hustle. It's about remembering what it feels like to create something with no ROI other than joy. May asks, when was the last time you made something just because it felt good? This could be the month you start painting again, or join that pottery class, or open a blank document and let the words pour out, even if no one else sees them. And if you're not sure where to begin, start anywhere. The muse isn't picky. She just wants your attention. Meanwhile, travel becomes more than just a weekend plan. It becomes medicine. Even if it's just a short drive to a place you've never been, movement heals you this month. Especially if you've been feeling stuck or uninspired in your usual surroundings. Around May 24th to 26th, you might get the urge to book a trip, visit a friend, or finally explore that local spot you keep saying someday to. Don't overthink it. Book it. Go. Let life surprise you. If actual travel isn't an option, shift your scenery in small but intentional ways. Work from a new location. Take a different route home. Eat somewhere unfamiliar. Even rearranging a room or spending more time outdoors can trigger the same shift. The point is, your creativity is tied to your environment, and May helps you reconnect to the bigness of the world and your place in it. Socially, things open up. People want to be around you, not because you're doing the most, but because you're radiating ease. The pressure to impress fades, and what's left is real connection. Laughter that feels good in your bones, conversations that linger in your memory, and moments of spontaneous fun that remind you what it feels like to be in your body fully. Romance, too, can take on a more playful tone. Whether you're dating, committed, or somewhere in between, May supports lighter energy, flirting, teasing, adventure. Less talk about bills and calendars, more connection, more touch, more yes. And if you're thinking, that sounds great, but I'm still feeling heavy, don't worry. The joy is coming, slowly, like the first warm day after a long winter. Let it meet you where you are. You don't have to force it, you just have to allow it. The deeper theme this month is this: joy is not a reward for suffering. Joy is your birthright, and you're allowed to access it even when the to-do list isn't done, even when the world is complicated, even when your heart is still healing. By the time May wraps up, you'll feel a shift, not just in mood, but in motion. You'll remember that your life isn't meant to be endured. It's meant to be experienced, fully, sensually, boldly. So go out there and make something beautiful, even if it's messy. Go laugh until your sides hurt. Go dance barefoot in your kitchen. Go live, Taurus. Not because you need to earn it,
but because you finally remember you don't have to.